So welcome everybody. I'm Dave Oldham. This is Brand Sweat and Tears podcast, and my wife is probably a little more stoked than I am even for this particular episode. We have a super special guest with me today, Nicole Tanner, who is the founder of Swig. Now, almost everyone in my friends and family network is going to instantly know what that is. I probably do have some friends that are out of state, especially like maybe far back east or whatever, who haven't heard of it. So you can tell us the Swig story, what Swig is. But I got to say right out of the gate, one of my all-time favorites. I'm addicted to Swig.
Love it.
Doctors and people who care about my health might not. They're coaching me towards like more like water.
Listen, it's all about balance. Come get your 44 water and then your drink.
That's right. Yeah. I work out hard so I can still enjoy the Swig.
Totally.
And like at some point I'll jump in with like my favorites and my family's favorites, but we can talk about Swig.
Yeah.
And how it started. You started this crazy movement that is now like, I mean, ubiquitous, at least in like maybe the western states or, Utah, Idaho, Arizona, like all that for sure.
Texas, Oklahoma.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Yeah.
You started a thing, which is so cool. So I'm super excited to have you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Coming on.
It's always fun to share the story. Swig is like my sixth baby. I have 5 kids. So that's how proud I am of it.
Is it your favorite?
No, I can't. They're all my favorite, right?
Oh, Swig's not your favorite child, and then the kids come after that.
Yeah, they thought that during their growing up years, as they're sharing their mom with Swig.
Okay, we got to talk about that.
It definitely is part of the journey, especially from a woman. You balance a little bit more, trying to keep the household down and then working at the same time. So they had to share their mom with Swig, so it was definitely a love-hate.
Mom with Swig, okay.
Yeah.
Are they emotionally okay with it? Or
yeah.
They have issues?
Are you kidding?
Seeing therapists?
Yeah, they're like, free drinks. It's good.
Nice.
No, they're super
For me,
proud.
that would be the dream.
Right?
I'd be like, just
you're like, can you adopt me,
life.
Nicole?
Yeah. I'm available.
Right?
I'm available. Sorry,
you're
Mom and Dad. I'm available if you want to adopt me. Yeah.
Just free drinks. That's all I'm asking.
That's all I need.
Yeah. No, it is so true. They are very proud to see where it's come because, I mean, we just wanted one store to work, right? Please, just one location work. So
and there was an article I saw like just even last week that in the last 6 months, I should know the number because I just read it like this morning again.
But
like 200 and something
50.
In 6 months, 250 new stores in the last 6 months.
Well, so 250 franchisees.
Okay. So the stores are still like take a while to get built, but that's sold like
we turned on franchising in January and 6 months later we have 250 stores locked in.
Oh my gosh.
With 12 franchise groups.
Okay.
So
I kind of skipped all the way to the end, but I'm excited about that.
Yeah, you did. But there's a lot in between there.
So
my kids are excited for that. Like that's pretty cool that Swig is now going to go everywhere.
Okay.
So your friends on the East Coast that you talked about? It's coming next year.
Okay.
So
I'm so excited. And then anywhere I go, I can get my favorite Swigs.
We got you covered. Yeah. That's the whole goal.
Okay. And do any of your kids own franchises?
No. So my kids have all worked in the stores. They started as regular team members. In fact, my 2 oldest were part of our first 12 employees, or team members is what we call them. So they've all worked in the stores, been shift leads, been, assistant managers, but they've all gone off and done their own thing and got their degrees. One was a teacher, one went into marketing and works for Vivint, one works for a solar company, not Vivint. Actually, it's not solar. It is alarms.
Alarms. Okay.
So he's a salesman for that. So they've all done different things.
With the door-to-door kind of summer sales sort of model?
Kind of, but bigger. Schools and big businesses.
Okay,
so it's
just
different.
Like corporates.
Yeah, yeah. So it's called Verkada. But anyway, so they've all gone and done their own things. If at any time they wanted to come back and work for Swig, I would gladly, because they know what goes into it. And that's probably why they're like, yeah, we'll let someone else do that. Because they saw.
They know how hard it is. Like, no thanks.
Oh, they know. And they probably saw it from like a skewed camera lens because
it was harder when you were starting.
Way harder. It's such a different brand now as far as like the ease of it. Like, I have a huge team alongside me. So that's how you get where you want to go. So, it's Yeah. It's a little bit different than when we first started.
Okay. So let's talk about that.
Yeah.
How did this whole thing start?
Yeah.
Take us back to the very beginning.
Love it. So we'd go to Sonic all of the time because they had the pebble ice.
Yeah. My wife would even make me go and buy bags from them of the pebble ice. Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, when sometimes our ice machines break down and we go get bags of ice from Sonic.
Nice.
We wish that's hopefully rare, but every so often that happens.
Yeah.
So the pebble ice, the foam cup that keeps the drink cold longer.
Yep.
So we'd go to Sonic all of the time to get a Diet Coke with lime for me. And sometimes the wait was a little bit longer because people were ordering food, and that's just how it was. There was just not an option for that. And sometimes you felt like a number in that drive-through line, like you just didn't really matter to that establishment, even though we were going on a regular daily basis. And it was like...
And this was St. George, Utah.
St. George.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, St. George. So it was like, there's something missing. There was something missing in that marketplace of just drinks. Like I just wanted to drive through and get my drink of choice. And if I wasn't going to Sonic, it was pulling up to a gas station, unbuckling my 5 kids. I mean, I act like some of them were all babies at the same time. I didn't have quadruplets, but like get everybody getting
that 16-year-old and
right. Okay, let me get out of your car seat. But like everybody getting out of the car and walking in. And that, it sounds so lazy when I talk about it, but it's turning off your car, AC off, but it was a hassle. And I knew I would appreciate, as a consumer, just drive-through drinks. And in particular, it was started with just the fountain drinks. But then we branched out into, and we've always had energy drinks, and now we've got refreshers, which are like booming. So sparkling water based. So a lot of people say, well, I don't drink soda, so I'm not going to Swig. And I'm like, oh, well, you're missing out because some of our best drinks are our sparkling water based drinks. Yeah. So that's another part of the story.
I think my wife loves some of your refreshers.
Yeah, it's a good alternative.
I'm still a purist.
Same.
I'm hardcore Dr. Pepper based, whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
She loves the refreshers.
Yeah, I think it's now educating people. It is way more than just soda. We are way more than soda. And I'll get into the why behind it too. But so it was, didn't want to be treated like a number, wanted to be made to feel known in that drive-through because I was spending money there. And then the pebble ice and then the speed of it. So those were kind of the 3 behind it, like a good quality product. Speed, like my time is valuable. Everybody's time is valuable. And if you're a mom of 5 kids and you've got them going to all the places, you need to get in and out, right? And then just make people feel special in that drive-through line. Like it's a destination for them. Like, what do you want to do? Let's go to Swig. So that's how the idea came.
Because you were thinking first, like, I want to solve my own problem.
Yeah.
And I see and have friends and family members that are doing the same thing. We're all going over to Sonic or to a gas station just for drinks.
Yes.
So why shouldn't there be just a drink destination that also was like super customer focused?
Totally. Yep.
Nice.
That was it. It's something I would appreciate. So that honestly is how it started. The name was looked up in the thesaurus, drink. And there's a lot of names for drinks, like 50. And the minute that we came to Swig, it was like, stop. That's it. It just felt good. It felt so good. Like, can I have a swig of your drink? Can I have a swig of that? And it's one word. It's short, sweet, to the point. Everybody knows like Swig is like a drink, right? So and it just felt right. So landed on that. I found this
At
old
that point in time. Were you worried? Were you thinking ahead 10 years? Or were you worried about like trademark?
No.
And all the .com and social handles?
No.
Okay, if I can file for a business name in St. George, we're good.
No business plan. The plan was let's provide those 3 things. Honestly, no business loan. It was what we had in our savings.
Wow.
Went into this. The sweat and tears, like it all went into this.
So you had to find a location.
Had to look for a location that was cheap because again, couldn't afford a lot. We couldn't do new. We just needed something that had a big parking lot. So the cars could wrap, right? I'm envisioning already of what I want it to look like, and I want there to be cars wrapped, people wanting their Swig. found an old building, literally 700 square feet in St. George, right by Dixie College, now Utah Tech. And it had been a U-Haul place. It had been a skate park with literal ramps up the side of the building.
No way.
It was old.
Okay.
It needed some TLC.
So that shack, that actual structure
It was a shack.
already
You can
there.
call it a shack.
Because I've always wondered, because I've been to that original location
Yes.
many times.
That is it.
There was a building. It wasn't just like a parking lot that you stuck
that's
that
the
thing
building.
on there. Okay.
That's the
Okay.
building.
Okay.
We just last year, actually the first of this year, remodeled the inside quite a bit. It needed it. Every plumbing, everything was
Because the
old
new
and
ones are going up are like
brand
nice.
new. They're nice.
Super nice.
I know. And the poor OG's like, what about us?
What
What about
We're
us
still
down
down
here?
here in this
Remember
wooden
us?
shack.
I know. There's a shack.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the landlord was this older gentleman that was like 85 years old. Back then, he's since passed away. And I think he thought we were crazy because who makes money just selling fountain drinks or drinks? But he was like, I just want you kids to succeed.
So he was super cool.
Super cool. Gave us the lowest rent to date.
Wow.
Like literally the lowest rent to date. So that's really how it began. The kids, we all fixed it up. Everybody helped. New flooring, new walls. It was all our own work.
Okay, so you got
All
this
sweat, our
location
own sweat.
identified. Then did you start like dreaming up the crazy names and the concoctions and stuff? And was
So
that like
we
a
were
super
very
fun process
basic
to,
at
like,
first.
Okay.
Yeah, actually there were no names at first.
Okay.
Yeah, except the dirty was in there too. Like a month in, the dirty
Okay.
people were calling it dirty, the coconut Dr. Pepper.
Okay,
We're
we need
like,
to double down on that.
we will.
Really
Yes,
quick.
let's
Okay.
double down on that.
All right.
So no, it was basics because guess what? When you're starting a business, you don't know where it's going. You are going to. So I tell a lot of entrepreneurs and people starting a business, start simple because you just don't know. So we started with the basics. So knew we needed Coke, right? I'm a Diet Coke lover. Knew we needed the Coke machine. Well, we needed Pepsi as well because there's Mountain Dew drinkers out there.
Yeah.
Like
If I can't get my Dr.
Yeah.
Pepper, Dew is my go-to.
yes, yeah. So, but Pepsi and Coke don't like to be in the same building. Now they do,
yeah.
but they didn't.
Yeah, that was a thing. Like restaurants,
You were either a
especially,
Coke
you had to
or a
pick
Pepsi.
one. Yeah.
So we had everything going. We had the cookies that we wanted. We had everything in there. Probably like 12 flavor shots to start with, and then limes and lemons. Basic. We had smoothies back in the day. We had shaved ice back in the day. So we had a few other things, but just pretty basic. Pepsi wouldn't come in. So we had everything ready. We're ready to go. Open the doors. So don't think you have to have it perfect because FYI,
So you launched
it never will be.
with no Pepsi product.
No Pepsi product.
I didn't realize.
Well,
Okay.
not a Pepsi machine.
Okay.
We were pouring it.
Oh.
We had to get innovative. We just would go to the store and buy 2-liter bottles because we had to open the door.
Nice.
So we would
you
get.
did launch. You just
course.
did it kind of creatively.
Yes. I'm like,
Nice.
Pepsi, you're going to want to join because we have a cool thing here.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody thinks their own idea is cool, but I just had a feeling like Swig was special. So we opened, had our Coke machine, and like 2 weeks in, this gentleman came and got himself, I can't remember if it was Pepsi or Mountain Dew, but he's out on our front porch of that OG Swig.
Yep.
And he's sitting there in his chair, and I opened the window and said, so how's your Pepsi or your Mountain Dew? And he's like, this is the best Pepsi I've ever had. And I was like, he has no idea.
It's because it wasn't from the fountain or what?
No, I just think it's how it was served.
Okay.
So then it goes back to that experience.
And he got some mix-ins, like, so it was like,
I think basic, like,
Okay.
because we didn't have that many.
Okay.
So it was how he felt, though.
okay.
So it goes back to we made people feel special from the start of like, you matter to us. We're so glad you chose us. You know, it had the pebble ice, it had the foam cup, but it was poured from a 2-liter bottle. So it's how you make people feel. People do the same thing everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's how you make them feel as customers for
Yeah.
you. So he felt that.
How were
Week
you?
2.
How were you specifically doing that? Like, did you have things that you like, this is how we're going to make people feel
Yeah, so
special?
we'll always take your order person to person. We've never had squawk boxes, and that's pretty rare, especially back then. So we will come out and take your order person to person, or back then we did it just at the window, but it was always person to person. It was never on a squawk box. So it's helping.
You know what? I just realized, I guess I hadn't ever thought about that.
Yeah.
But that's so brilliant because you don't get the weird voice. It's not like, oh, sorry, and I got confused. And there's way more of that personal connection. Oh my gosh, I'm an idiot. I just realized, like, that's right. I've never talked into a box. I've always talked to a human being.
Yeah. No, it was person to person.
Cool.
Again, that goes back to the why behind it. We want people to feel special because we felt like a number. We wanted to change that.
Yeah.
So we want them to know you matter to us. So we want to know your name. We want to know your drink. We want to know your kids' names. We want to know your story. And so that's how it was from the start. In fact, as we expanded.
Sometimes they know too much.
Sometimes
I pull up and they're like, sorry, I heard you got fired. I'm like, what?
Oh, wow. I'm like, really?
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
But
I love the personalized.
But I want that to be the case. And if you're a regular at one of our locations, you're shaking your head going, yeah, they know my drink and they know my name. And that's what I love. I love to hear that because that is at the base of it all. Yeah. So it was, so we opened the doors. And
you were behind the counter. You were in the store.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, I was the manager. I did all the hiring, all the training, all the, deposits, all the ordering, And I think that's some advice for people is, be in that first location or in your business at the start for a while because no one will protect.
You experience it yourself.
Yes. No one will protect it like you will.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
They won't. So you have to establish that base of care and love into that store or that brand, and then you find the people that care like you care. That's how you scale.
That's how you build your foundation.
It, so for 3 years, there was just the one location. And I was the manager.
And you guys are open 6 days a week.
Yeah.
Were you there 6 days a week?
I mean, I tried to have Saturdays off. In fact, the funny thing would be with my kids is I would pull up, like we're off, and I would pull up with my kids, and they'd have a line wrapped, and I'd be like, I'm just going to go in and help out for a minute. 5 minutes.
An hour and a half, 2 hours later.
They knew it was never. And they're like, no. In fact, I have a picture of my youngest who was probably like 6 or 7 at the time. And he's sitting on about 10, maybe not 10, but 8 soda bibs, the cardboard boxes. We just had them stacked in there. And he's sitting on them with the look on his face like, my life. It's terrible. This is my life.
He's still emotionally scarred.
Yeah, he probably is. They all need therapy. Yeah. But it taught them how to work hard for your dreams, how to sacrifice, but then how to balance that as well, because you can balance it. You have to let people lead out in your locations or in your brand, and that's how you learn if they are a good fit, if they care like you care. But you have to do that. And I felt like I lived at the store, but I had a balance, and it was great. But for 3 years, within about the first 6 months of opening the doors, it was like, this is actually working.
It's working.
Yeah. I mean, I remember back in the day, it was like 20 minutes in between each car. But within 6 months, it was working.
Dialed it in. How did you dial in the mixing, like the amounts of everything?
Yeah.
Did you do trial and error with the first couple hundred customers or something?
100%. Because how do we know what the perfect thing is? We know what we like.
Okay.
But it was more of just like, this is what we think tastes good. And then we've refined it along the way.
You like more coconut, less...
or you see what they're ordering. If they keep ordering light flavor, or extra,
like,
then you're
maybe,
like,
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's listening to your customers. They're the ones that are directing what you're going to do. Because if without them, you don't have a business.
But the flip side is you weren't worried about perfection from day one.
How could you?
You were willing to kind of experiment.
You don't know what perfection is.
Yeah, that's a great
How
point.
could you?
Yeah.
It was a new concept,
In fact,
really.
you guys are probably still constantly learning and adjusting.
And as we turn on franchising, we're going to learn a lot.
Yeah.
So, you'll never have it figured out. And that's okay.
Yeah.
It's about learning and making a few mistakes along the way and going, what did we learn from that? And then let's change it. So like shaved ice, for example, we thought we needed shaved ice. We'd just been to Hawaii and we're like, oh, that'd be so cool. We were great at it. Oh my goodness. Yeah, right? Yeah. But you have to have the perfect cube. It has to be kind of that perfect temperature so it shaves really well. We stayed with that for 6 years.
Wow.
And it slowed down our lines, so it took away from why we started it. And then we weren't great at it. And we were injuring ourselves on it because it had the blades.
Oh.
So we finally, 6 years in, we're like, okay.
Got to ditch the shaved ice.
Ditch the shaved ice.
Yeah.
So don't get stuck on an idea. Be flexible and be okay going, you know what? That's just not serving us well. It's taken away from who we are. We're now going to get rid of shaved ice. And, you know, we heard from a few customers like, oh, we love it. It's our favorite. But we just knew that the majority, it wasn't who we are. So focus on what you do best and then stay tuned into that.
What I love about that is even if it was profitable and even if some customers really loved it, you brought it back to your core why.
Yep.
Why did we do this in the first place?
Yes.
And this is inhibiting us to deliver fast. And that whole experience is more important than even if this is kind of a profitable version, like we just have to kill it.
Well, what we did is then we brought in something that was maybe comparable and that was blended drinks.
Okay.
So it's like, okay, you can't get a shaved ice, but we're going to blend those drinks for you. And it's the same type of thing. But again, it's more of who we are. It's a drink.
And it's fast.
So if you do take away something off your menu, bring something in that goes in more line with who you are. But that they can go, oh, it's almost like they don't even notice that you took it away because you brought in this bright, shiny object. That they're like, So it's kind of like that, you know, disguise surprise factor.
So 6 months in, and this is in 2010.
2010, right? April 2nd, 2010, we opened.
Almost my birthday. That's so amazing. Yeah,
nice.
That's cool. Okay, so you're 6 months in. And you're like, oh my gosh, there's lines around the corner. I remember. So we would go down to St. George often, you know, a couple times a year for vacation and you know, quick breaks and stuff. And Swig was definitely, you know, a must. We had to go, partly too because there was nothing like it, you know, up here where we lived. So it was this cool, like, oh, that's a thing to look forward to on the vacation. And when we would go, it was usually warm, hot, pool, you know, the refreshing kind of cold drinks was like something we looked forward to. And I just remember, oh my gosh, when we'd pull up and there's a line of cars like clear around the block and you nailed it. Like, I mean, customers were waiting, even though that wasn't your ideal scenario as far as like the speed of delivery and speed of service, but people, you knew you hit something because people were willing to like wait really long lines instead of, we could have just gone to the gas station. We could have just gone over to like a different option, but we wanted that, you know, I think it was a combination of like, the service felt better and just those unique kind of mixes where you know, everyone kind of had their favorite, you know,
could make
concoction
your own
or whatever.
drink. It was honestly, we wanted it to be that destination and we wanted people to feel special in that drive-through line and person to person. And then again, we'll talk about 2020 and how things kind of changed as well. But people want to be made to feel known. They want that contact. And that's just who we were, and people latched onto it. Yeah. Within like year one, almost year two, it's like, we got to find another location because we need to relieve these lines. Because, people latched onto it very quickly. And how cool is that?
Spread like wildfire. People were talking about it. I think this was like early, you know, social media wasn't as ubiquitous as it is now.
It wasn't as like Facebook.
But, you know, it spread around word of mouth and stuff. So at what point
that was our advertising,
did you
by the way.
Start like all word of mouth, right? Yeah,
people, I would have radio stations call me and newspapers, whatever, and we didn't need it because the word of mouth. Your best advertising is when someone, think about it, when someone refers a restaurant or whatever.
Talk about it.
It really is. Like that's who you, so just provide that amazing customer service, that great product, then people will talk about you. And that's what we did. We're just like, we need to focus on those three things, and then that's our advertising.
The word will spread.
Yeah, the word will spread, and that's what it did.
Yeah. That's so smart.
Yeah, I didn't spend money where I didn't need to.
It's weird that a lot of businesses don't figure that out.
It is weird. They just think they have to do it. Now we have marketing dollars that we definitely want to spend, especially as we're branching out of, Utah.
But you're probably advertising more to like, hey, buy a franchise than you are to like the individual visitors, right?
Yeah, we're not having to advertise franchising. They're ready.
Okay. People are lining up for that
yeah.
too. Okay.
Yeah. They've been wanting it for a while.
Okay.
And we could have done it years ago.
Yeah.
But I wanted to protect this because it is so special. I want every swig to look and feel the same because it means that much. So I did not want to franchise too early. I needed to make sure that there was training, there were systems in place. We are still figuring out who we are. We're now readier than we ever have been. That's why we're turning it on.
Okay.
But we could have franchised 6 years ago.
Yeah.
In fact, there's a story on that as well.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
of like we started down the path.
Yeah.
We started down the path, so we thought we had to.
Okay.
Because there were competitors. Started in 2013. There was 10
so
competitors.
2010, about 6 months in, you're like, hey, this is kind of work. A year in, you're like, oh, we're super crowded at this location. We've got to go to another location. At what point in there, just like going back to the beginning a little bit, like did you start dreaming up the crazy names and adding like all the different mixes and stuff? Was that early or did that come much later? Okay.
That was early. So within like year 2, we started naming the drinks and getting more creative with our flavors.
Was that just to be fun, or did you think like, oh, did people start nicknaming them themselves, or like what got you into the?
It was team members. Like the Raspberry Dream was by one of our.
It's my favorite.
Yeah, by one of our managers. So it was the team getting creative. It was the customers getting creative. They would say, "Why don't you bring in pomegranate?" So we brought in pomegranate.
Okay.
So it's listening to your customers on. What do you want here? Now, you can't bring in everything. Everybody has an opinion on their favorite syrup. Yeah. But we try it. If
when
it
you start to
did
see
well,
big
then
patterns, and then you test and see, oh, is that sticking? Is that not sticking? And then you're willing to adjust.
Yep. Yeah. So it's like a limited time offer. Yeah. But we started naming things within like year 2. And the dirty actually came within the first month.
Okay, so we need let's go into that really quick.
Yeah.
The dirty is a thing that you guys kind of originated, and you even trademarked that.
Yes.
And then later on, that became super important that you trademarked that because people started borrowing that term. So when and how, where did it originate? And then what made you realize like, gosh, we probably got to trademark that?
So within the first month, we were, we had coconut from the start. And people would come up and order a coconut Dr. Pepper. And within the first month, there was a doctor's office down in St. George that would come and they're like, hey, by the way, we call these dirty Dr. Peppers because it sounds cool.
So as a customer, like, we call these dirty Dr. Peppers.
And we're like, that is the coolest thing ever. Amazing. And so anytime someone would order a coconut Dr. Pepper, we'd be like, hey, by the way, we call that a dirty Dr. Pepper. And everybody was like, oh, so cool. Nice. And that's just how it spread.
Okay.
So then we added it to the menu, get a dirty Dr. Pepper, because it had that cool factor, right? It just hits. Yeah. And you know
Rolls
when you
off
know.
the tongue.
Yeah, it just does. Sounds cool. Yeah, dirty Dr. Pepper. And so, so we added that to our menu, make your drink dirty. And we saw as competitors started coming on, several years later, 3 years later, they saw the power of that dirty Dr. Pepper. So then they were
calling theirs a dirty Dr. Pepper.
and at first when we had competitors, they were copying us to a T, everything we did. Yeah. So at first it hurt, and I was like, wait, this is the blood, sweat, and tears. Yeah. This is 3 years in, and we had to really blaze the path of like this new market because it didn't exist. Just drive-through drinks, just soda, and then other drinks. Couldn't find it. I couldn't find it. So we blazed this path. So at first I was like, like they copied us. But then I'm like, competition's good for everybody. Yeah. It's going to keep us at the top of our game because we're going to try to be improving. And then, they're helping to spread the awareness of this new market, this new concept. So anyway, but the dirty was the thing that they all copied. So we had other names of our drinks, like the Wild or some other things. The
Raspberry Dream.
The Raspberry Dream, right? The Big Owl. But they all had the dirty Dr. Pepper. Well, there was a couple of them. And we were like, wait, that's our term. That is something that, we've had since day one pretty much. Yeah. So we're like, we need to go trademark this and protect it because we knew it came from us. Yeah. So, and I realized that there's dirty drinks out there. So the trademark was fountain drinks, flavor shots.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Okay.
So anything
So it
associated
wasn't even
with
just restricted to coconut.
No.
Okay.
No, because we were thinking broad.
Okay.
So it was fountain drinks with a flavor shot. And that could be creams as well.
Okay.
So it was anything added to that fountain drink.
Is the term
Is a dirty.
Okay.
So not only did we have a state trademark, we took it to the next level and did a national trademark.
Okay.
A federal or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
But we were thinking ahead.
Yeah.
Like, I know Swig is going to go everywhere eventually.
Yeah.
So I want that to be our term because, again, we saw the power of it within the first couple months. And then it was like Dirty Dr. Pepper for the 3 years before anybody was copying us. That was like the main drink we were doing.
Yeah.
So then we like, that needs to be our term. And so we spent a lot of money and time into getting those trademarks. I mean, it was just more paperwork, right?
Yeah.
So you just get an attorney involved in the paperwork. So it wasn't super stressful.
Okay.
But then, and then we, so once we got it, we sent out cease and desist to the competitors. I mean, even at one point, Maverick had it above their gas tanks.
Oh,
Make your
wow.
drink dirty.
Okay.
All their gas tanks.
Okay.
Gas pumps.
Yeah.
We sent them a cease and desist. They pulled it off. They realized it. Like, that's
Like, okay.
it's legitimate.
Yeah.
So, so we protected
Some
it.
of the other competitors weren't
Some others
so willing to
weren't
acquiesce.
so willing. Yeah. And at that point, it's like, okay, then that's a few letters back and forth. Like, okay, well, it is ours, and here it is. And then they didn't. And so then it's like, okay, well, this is ours. We need to protect
be serious about it.
Well, yeah. I mean, we spent time, effort, money into getting that trademark.
Yeah.
So, of course, why would you just go, you know what, never mind. And let me tell you another reason why, too. A lot of the versions of Dirty were different. So they were confusing the marketplace. And so our Dirty was coconut Dr. Pepper, right?
Yeah.
On our menu, a Dirty Dr. Pepper was a coconut Dr. Pepper flavor shot. Some Dirty Dr. Peppers were lime wedges as well with coconut. Some were cream as well. So they'd come through our line and they'd say, I want a Dirty Dr. Pepper. They'd get it and then they'd drink it at the window and go,
something else.
Wait, you didn't put the cream in it. You didn't put the lime in it. We're like, well, for us, we were having to explain what Dirty was.
Yeah.
And then some people's coconut was nasty. So if they're trying to Dirty Dr. Pepper for the first time and it's gross, then they're not going to come to Swig and get the original Dirty Dr. Pepper.
Yeah.
So we just were like, we need to protect that term, and we did. And then we sent out cease and desist. Most took it. They were like, we get it. Good. Some didn't. And so we had to then go, okay, well, we need you to know we're serious. And so then that went into a lawsuit because you're protecting your brand.
Yeah.
And you should at that point. And at that point, we had, probably 8 locations at least.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not just a one store thing. Like we were spreading
by that point,
rapidly.
you had a vision for like way more than 8, right?
Oh, 100%. Because we knew it was working. We had opened, 3 stores down in southern Utah and opened one in Provo. The 4th one was Provo of like, will this exist in a cold climate?
Yeah.
And then within like a week, we're like, and it does. It's gangbusters. So then we just really started exploding into northern Utah. So we knew we had a big expansion plan and we needed to protect that trademark because it was a part of who Swig was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's so cool to be able to talk to you about it because in the general public, I remember there was like differing views on that, right? Oh, are Swig being bullies about this?
Right.
And I had similar conversations about this recently related to the cookie wars, you know, and you're kind of familiar with all that stuff too. So there's this question about, is a brand bullying other brands if they protect certain things, aspects of their own intellectual property, right?
Yeah.
And there's probably extremes on both of those sides that like, well, just the concept of getting, flavored sodas and all that with Pebble Ice. I mean, Sonic was doing that and gas stations were doing that. So you can't really protect that.
No.
But something as unique as like the term dirty that, your customers originated for you. You guys embraced it, made it your own. That is something that falls into this, like, that's your intellectual property. And you should be able to defend that.
You really should. And you should.
Yeah.
You should protect that, and that's a smart business move.
Yeah.
And we always tried to take the high road when people would, try to goad us into, what are you guys doing?
Yeah.
And we just were like, we're not going to, comment, or we're just, this is just who we are, and we hope it all works out.
Yeah.
I never want to get into all of the mess.
Yeah.
So, because everybody has an opinion,
but you were never trying to prevent other soda shops from popping up. It was just kind of this thing. There's some specific things related to your
in fact, they've helped us,
property.
like I said, establish this market.
Yeah.
So, no, bring it on.
Yeah.
Competition's good.
Yeah.
It was just that
specific
term.
thing.
No, I mean, go ahead.
Yeah.
Do exactly what we're doing.
Yeah. So you got the dirty, you trademarked it, you're building like all these names, you had expanded. So we're talking about like within the first 3 years, there were the 2 locations in St. George, right? Mm-hmm. Was there a third?
There was
in
a third
St. George?
in Hurricane that we did close.
Okay.
Probably prematurely, but we were still learning at that point.
Okay.
Again, it's one of those things where you're like, it would have been great still.
Okay.
But it was like a huge build. We were learning a lot. Store 3, it was way too big of a building. It was kind of not in the part of town we wanted. So anyway, we closed the door several years ago.
We had this formula, but we started to bend our own rules a little bit, and then the lesson learned from that is like, don't bend the rules.
Again,
like, stick to what
you don't quite know who you are yet. So it's not even like the rules. It's more of just like, well, let's try this in a really big building and see if we can carve out a corner of it and see if we can make it work for rent and just the demographics of the area. And really what it was is Provo landed with such a bang that we were like focusing when it wasn't doing great in the sales. We're like, let's close it and let's take all that equipment up into a store up north that we know is going to crush it.
Going crazy.
Yeah. And I mean, eventually Hurricane will probably get a Swig, but yeah, I mean, you have to.
Sorry, people in Hurricane.
I know, I hear it all the time. I know.
But someday, if they hold on.
I mean, there's 5 in St. George right now, so with actually a couple more coming. Okay. So, so it's good.
Hurricane. You have to say Hurricane. Hold on.
Yeah.
Your dreams will eventually come true. Okay. So you're growing, expanding. You did the 2, the 3, then Provo was the 4th store. Were you kind of thinking like, ooh, maybe college towns are the thing, or proximity to like university campuses or something, or was that not?
It honestly wasn't. Really we love our college students and they are a good part of our business, but it was more back in the day, the building became available.
Okay.
So it was Jimmy Osmond. He brought the building to us.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was an old Pizza Hut.
Okay.
And he was like, I want you guys in here. I've heard a lot about you. I want it.
Did he invest in you guys at that point? Okay.
No, he was
like
our landlord.
Fan. Okay.
He just wanted to have Swig in his building.
Okay.
So it just became available.
Okay.
And it just happened to be across from Lavelle Edwards Stadium.
Yeah.
So we are by colleges.
From there like last week.
Yeah.
I mean, my store is in South Jordan. That's close to my house.
I love it.
But yeah,
good.
The Provo
Hope
one
they take
and the St. George one. They always do.
Good.
I mean, they don't know me because I'm not there. Like the South Jordan store knows they know me, but but it was still a good experience.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
I love it.
And it's the consistency of like I know if I say Raspberry Dream or Life's a Peach, and
you know what
I'm
going to
get. Yeah,
it's amazing. Love it.
Okay, so you're expanding into Provo, and I want to talk really quickly about there was this mind shift because at the beginning you said I just wanted one store to work. And then, oh my gosh, that's working. At what point did your mind shift change from like, okay, total world domination. We're going to put a Swig on every block.
Right.
The Starbucks, model.
No, seriously. That's a good part of the story. So hustled to get store number 2 open. They're only a mile apart, exactly a mile. So people would say, that's crazy. Why didn't you spread it out a little bit? We found the building. It was just the building became available. It was a building that had gone into foreclosure. So we got it for really cheap and fixed it up. It was an old malt shop. So it just was the building became available.
Yeah.
So opened up literally almost to the day 3 years after store number 1. It was spring break. We had lines wrapped
St. George
around.
Boulevard is nuts on spring break.
On spring break.
It's like the drag, right?
It is. It's the drag.
Yeah.
So we had lines of cars wrapped around each building.
Yeah.
Just
Did
trying
you ever
to keep
get in
up.
trouble with the cops and stuff for that?
We do now. Okay. Because we've created problems.
Do you have to like contact local authorities and say we're about to open a store and we're going to need some like traffic and stuff?
Yeah, we do now on grand opening days because we do free days.
Okay.
We give away free drinks and cookies in new markets. Actually, anytime we open a new store, we just opened Saratoga Springs a month ago.
Yeah.
We did a day of free drinks and cookies.
Yeah.
So,
the traffic
it's just to kind of market it out and go, hey, here's a new store.
Yeah.
So we have cops come in and help us so that our neighbors don't hate us.
Okay.
So with the traffic, it's only for a free day, and then it's usually not too bad. But so yeah, we opened it, lines wrapped around both buildings. did not know this, but Channel 2 News here in Salt Lake, they came down to do a news special on us, news report on Swig. And what is this Swig place?
Yeah.
And it's this amazing video. He came, he talked to one of our team members and said, can I talk to the owner? And so did an interview with me. You can look it up. The video is really cool because it's back in 2013.
Have you tried to be physically present for every store opening?
Yes.
Okay.
I've only missed a couple.
Nice.
Yeah, I want to be at every one of them.
So you were there, and the news people rolled up. Okay.
Yes. So they said you guys were nominated as the top place to hit for Spring Breakers in 2013.
Nice.
So they did this whole special on it and how people were driving hours for a dirty soda. It talks about that on there, and customers, and then how we originated, and that blew us out of the water. So then anybody who hadn't heard of Swig in Utah was like, we are going to Swig. Anytime we head to St. George, anytime we're driving through on I-15, we're going to make sure we hit Swig. So we became a destination, and it just skyrocketed us out. So brought on early investors at that point, the only investors at that point in the summer of 2013, so that I could step away from those two stores because, again, I'm kind of managing both of those, and then be able to scale. And that we needed the funds to do that. So they were mainly financial support at that time. We brought in somebody to help us in the fall of that year as we're expanding to help us with systems in the store.
Okay.
So we're so mom pop at this point because we're just like, hey, let's open this soda shop and let's see if this will work. You know, we didn't have the fancy equipment. We were taking orders on like Casio cash registers, like basic, because we didn't have the money to have all the fancy stuff. 3 years, we took orders on yellow Post-it notes. I would take the order, we'd write down the order, hand it to the customer, they'd hand it to the person at the window, they'd type it in, we'd hand the Post-it note to the drink maker, they'd try to get everything right on there, try to understand everybody's writing, and then hand it out. I'm like, how it worked, I don't know.
I forgot about those days, but now I do remember getting the sticky note and then handing it to the person.
That's not insane.
Yeah, that was
But
crazy.
it worked. We didn't know any different. So we brought on this consultant who helped us know there's a better way. There's a better way to be doing this. And it is point of sales. And there's bump screens and there's
iPads.
There's iPads. And so we learned a lot. And so systems inside as well. In a restaurant, the least amount of steps you take, the better. So it's more of like an assembly line.
Yeah.
So just things like that really helped us to be able to scale better.
Yeah.
So yes, 2013 spring break was kind of our catapult.
Just like boom.
Of like, hey guys, if you haven't been to Swig, you now need to come.
And the beautiful thing, and maybe, I mean, you lived there, but you got this extra benefit that almost in retrospect looks like it was strategic of being in a vacation destination. You get thousands of people and they show up and then they're going home and they're like, I want to Swig here. I want to Swig here. They're spreading the word. Like you get, it's amazing as opposed to like if you had started in South Jordan or in Provo, you know, some place that's not like a touristy place, honestly, that word of mouth wouldn't maybe have spread as crazy, right?
100%. And again, it wasn't intentional. Just I lived there.
Yeah.
So it's like, open it up here. But
yeah.
honestly, it did work because St. George is a vacation destination, and even more so
everybody
now
goes
than
home
ever.
and then tells all their friends, like, oh my gosh, you got to hit this place.
And you know, when you
Swig
go on vacation,
and get the dirty
you have
Dr.
your favorite
Pepper.
place. Anywhere you go, whether it's Hawaii or Southern California, you have your favorite spots.
Yeah. And if you don't, then you ask your friends, like, where should I go? What should we hit? And then they're saying, like, if you go to St. George, you got to check out this place called Swig. Right.
Isn't that crazy?
And get the dirty Dr. Pepper.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. We became the favorite spot.
At what point in that process then did you switch from buying Pepsi in liter bottles
just a
to
month.
like 1 month?
Pepsi wised up. They came in within a month.
I was going to say, like, how long did it take them to figure it out?
That would be crazy.
Okay, 1 month.
Yeah,
so in
just
the
a month.
first store, they find they're like, okay, we want to go wherever you guys
came in.
are.
Yep.
Okay.
They came in a month later.
Okay.
Yep. They were like, fine. Fine, we'll come in.
Okay.
Yeah, and now we have both in each.
Yeah, you got everything.
And I think now we created that. We opened that. So
Yeah.
now people can have both in their business.
Nice.
Yeah.
You kind of changed their mind about that.
I know. I'm like, guys, we can play well together. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's room enough for everyone.
There's room for everybody. Yeah.
Okay, so you've got stores expanding. You're going into Provo. When you went to Provo, how much were you traveling back and forth to make sure you kind of had sort of hands-on? Did you come up and just stay for like a month or two at a time to train everyone? Like, how did you do that?
No, I had 5 kids. And I'm a mom.
Yeah, so you had to. So how did you do it?
It was, found managers. So I have managers now at each location.
Okay.
And then I'm just making sure that they
Did
feel
you force
supported.
them come down to St. George to train or something?
Yeah, they would come train in St. George.
Okay.
Yeah, like we opened up Bountiful spring of 2014. The manager came down and trained in St. George for a couple weeks.
Okay.
And then I would come up here quite a bit and check on them and provide support. For the first little bit though, like the cookies were coming out of a bakery in St. George. And we opened up our own bakery actually because the bakery in St. George that we were getting cookies from flooded in the fall of 2012.
Oh, no.
So we had to pivot, find our own baker, find our own bakery.
Okay.
So, and didn't skip a beat hardly.
So do you still make them all?
No, I mean, we do. We make all of our cookies, but a huge bakery does in Salt Lake.
Okay.
We switched that a couple of times as the volume has scaled.
But in the beginning, you were making them all in St. George and then shipping them up to like Provo and Bountiful and stuff?
In my car.
You were driving them up?
For like the first, because we didn't have a bakery here yet. So for literally a couple months, my car smelled like a shirt. And honestly,
that's not a bad smell.
It's not a bad smell. It isn't.
Like cookies and bakery?
No,
yeah.
but like it got old.
Is there like an air freshener for that? Because I'd buy that.
I'd buy that too. Done.
Yeah.
No, and then honestly, in St. George, I was the delivery person to get the cookies all the time too. Go over to pick them up.
How often? Did you have to come up once a week or something?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. Once a week, check on the stores, go back. And so, again, that's that balancing act of I'm a mom of 5 kids who are between the ages of 16 on down to 6. Actually, at that point, it was 2013. So I had a daughter who had graduated and was on a mission.
Okay.
And, but I still had
So you had a couple of older ones that could kind of help out with the younger ones.
Yes, of course.
But still chaotic schedules. High school, junior high school.
Oh my goodness. And I tried to still be at all their stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's just a balancing act.
Yeah.
And as we grew and expanded up here, I was kind of like the regional manager.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, I think at like store 6 or 7 up here is when I was like, okay, we need a regional manager. I'm not giving them the support that they need.
Yeah.
But you can't get that regional manager that takes care of 6 or 7 stores until you can afford them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I waited until there was that tipping point of like, okay, enter regional manager.
Yeah.
And then I was kind of the regional manager for down south in St. George. And there's just those little tipping points as you grow. And we still are at those points. Like we just had regional managers throughout the brand up until a year ago. When we had 45 locations. And then we're like, we now need area directors. Mm-hmm. So then it's like, okay, so now we have 2 area directors. And they've been with the brand
they have several
for
regional
10 years.
managers,
Yep.
and then the regional managers
Yes.
over several stores.
Yeah, so it's area directors is what we call them. They each have like 22 stores. Mm-hmm. And then they have district managers that have like 6 stores, each of them. And that's how it kind of goes down.
So how did you figure out at what point was the right time to go for another store? Like, how did you, what was your mindset around, like, was it largely just like, feel like we need another one? Or did you, like, how?
From store 1 to store 2?
How scientific were you about, I mean, the store 1, I know because I was waiting for hours
to relieve the lines.
Yeah.
We're like, it's working, let's open a store.
To expand,
yeah.
What did you use as the criteria to decide, like, okay, now it's time to do another one?
Well, honestly, once Provo worked, it was like, we just need to find real estate and open stores in northern Utah.
As fast as you can.
Yeah, it's like, because we had the financing with the partners. And so it's like, we're now just going to find the locations. And we just retrofitted stores back then. They weren't new.
Yeah.
We didn't get a new store. I think maybe Draper, East Draper was our first new store.
Yeah.
And that was a Swig customer that loved Swig, and his wife wanted to put a Swig on his property. Yeah, so that was our first new build.
Okay.
But they were all retrofitted. So it was Pizza Huts, it was Quiznos, it was, we just retrofitted what we could.
Yeah.
So it was finding locations and then get them opened.
Yeah.
So that's how it was. It was more of like, we know this is working, and every store we opened, it would start off with a bang.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
Now, you just alluded to the financing partners.
Yes.
At what point did that happen, and what made you think, like, okay, I need to go find some finance partners? And were you like hustling to try and find those, or did they? Okay, that was going to be my question. Is like they were customers, I'm sure, and were like, this is
they saw the buzz.
Insane. I want to be a part of this. So people were reaching out to you and say, hey, we want to finance. We want to help you grow.
They saw the magic. In fact, those partners said, when we sat down with them for the first time, they're like, do you know that you caught lightning in a bottle?
Yeah.
And that's honestly,
Yeah,
how we
100%.
felt.
Yeah.
But that's how special. And they could feel it. And that's who you want to partner with.
Yeah.
You want to partner with people who really believe in your brand.
Yeah.
And then you can go further places with it. So they brought in some capital to, scale. But honestly, the stores were...
Do they want to remain unnamed, or do you want to give them a shout out here?
Yeah, no, they were great. They're no longer partners, but
Okay.
yeah, they were great. Jason Lindsay is who he was. They were with Squatty Potty.
Oh, nice.
And
Okay.
a few other things, but he brought on some partners with them, Justin Erickson. There are a couple of them that came in, and they were amazing. They were amazing first partners. They were really, really good for us.
Okay, awesome.
And then it came to a point in 2017 where we were 17 locations.
7 years in, 17 locations. Okay.
We needed restaurant experience. We
Okay.
needed someone to really take us to that next level.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we'd learned a lot about who we were, but we needed to scale it because at this point there's quite a bit of competition.
Yeah.
So they're taking lands that we want. And so we needed help scaling, and we needed support in the stores of like refining.
Yeah.
And so we had like this amazing brand, great sales, but our back end was kind of a mess.
Okay.
Right? It's because we're just like growing and scaling, and we don't know what
so
we don't
fast,
know.
yeah.
Yeah. So we brought in Savory. They were 4 Foods Group at the time.
Yeah.
And they partner with budding restaurants.
But did you reach out to them, or did they reach out to you?
So got introduced to them by a young guy at the gym, and he had asked about franchising, and are you guys going to franchise? He thought we were, and I'm like, no, we're not. And he's like, oh, you should talk to my friend Andrew Smith.
Yeah.
And I didn't know of him at the time, and he's like, they ran Kneaders, and I'm like, oh, I love Kneaders. I love how they do it.
Yeah.
How they expand, and so
Again, a place that was, for all intents and purposes, not super unique from the food per se. I mean, they had a couple of unique things, but all about the experience.
All about the
Customer
experience. Yep.
Yeah.
So
And those guys, Andrew and his wife,
Shauna.
sorry, I was drawing a blank there, but
They're amazing.
she's just as critical, I think, to this. I think Andrew would say, or maybe even more critical.
he
I
would.
wouldn't talk about, but they were amazing and had that same
Yep.
focus that you have. That's how you differentiate yourself,
Yes.
is this customer experience, the customer service, and just really taking care of people.
Well, and that's how they get it. And honestly, we went to them just of like, would you franchise, would you not? Because we'd already gone down the franchise route, the legal side of it, because we thought we had to.
Yeah.
We thought this was like 2015. There were so many competitors were like, I guess we need to franchise so we can start taking the land we want.
Yeah.
Started down that path. Did not feel good about it because we knew we were kind of a mess on the back end. Not a mess, but like we weren't where we needed to be.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to just hand out franchises and people throwing money because I can.
Yeah.
I wanted every Swig to look and feel like the OG Swig. So that's that experience.
Preserve the customer experience.
Yes,
Yeah.
it means too much. And so we put a hard pause on it. We spent a year in the makings of trying to dial it in and a lot of money.
Yeah.
And hard pause. Like, nope, it's not the right time. Just did not feel right at all. And then probably 6 months to 8 months later, got introduced to Andrew and Shauna. And the question was, would you franchise, would you not? Because here's where we are. He'd heard of Swig, obviously. And he's like, he'd done Little Caesars franchises, a bunch of them. And he's like, I know both worlds.
Yeah.
You're not ready for franchising. Your brand means so much to you. I know it will eat it up.
Yeah.
So I would say not. He says, but keep doing what you're doing, building, growing. If you're interested, I have this model where I partner with emerging restaurant brands. We were the largest that they ever partnered with. They like about 2 or 3. It's like, I'd love to partner with you and scale this. So that honestly is how it started. It just felt so right meeting with him.
Yeah.
We didn't go in thinking it was going to be a partnership. It was like franchising or not, advice.
Yeah.
And then we walked away going, and a new partner.
That's awesome.
So
I don't know them personally,
Yeah.
but I know many people. Like I'm like one layer removed, I think, from their network.
Yeah.
They're too cool for me. I mean, not in their minds, but like we're
yes.
one layer removed. But
Yeah.
everyone I know
Yeah.
that knows them and has worked with
amazing.
them, 100% positive stuff. Like just such good partners.
In that
and
2-hour first meeting, he didn't pick up his phone once. It was face down.
that's cool.
Yeah. So
Because he's a super busy guy.
super busy guy.
His
And
phone was probably blowing up in
Yes,
that time.
yes.
Yeah.
so it was such a great partnership. They bought out our existing partners, and our existing partners at the time were graciously like, this is the best for Swig.
Yeah.
Like, go do what you need to, go be what you need to be.
Yeah.
And so they took on all the heavy lifting. So they took on HR and marketing and site development and maintenance and all of it. Operationally, and they came in and took in on the heavy lifting, which was so great at that point because they've been there, done that. They're like, let us help you refine so we can then just scale this.
Yeah.
So that was a tipping point. That was huge for the brand.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I got to go back to what I love to do. And that is, I mean, I helped kind of turn everything over to them operationally and everything. I was still involved, but I got to go back to the customers and the team members and make sure that we still had that feel in our drive-thrus.
Protecting that original thing that drove the whole...
that culture, that feel, like all of it. So
that's amazing. I want to rewind a little bit maybe and say during the building from like store 1 to store 17, were there moments along the way that you just felt like, I can't do this. Like, it's so hard. There's so much. You're a mom. You've got 5 kids. You're trying to do it all. You've got all these great ambitions. You're super excited because the feedback from the customers is like crazy. This thing's really working. Like, how did you balance that?
Yeah.
When you got to those breaking points, like how did you get through that?
I think it is everything. I think it is about the balance and realizing where your tipping points are for yourself and going, okay, I have been up north now. We call it up north when you live in St. George. FYI.
Up here.
Yeah,
in the
up
great
north.
White north.
So, no, it's not silly. But if you're in St. George, you know it's up north.
And the people in Idaho are like, you're not north. What are you talking about?
I know. They're like, you gotta go further.
Yeah.
So
There's
anyway,
more up here. Come on.
Right. Okay. So I was in Salt Lake, Utah Valley area a lot. So there were moments where I'd be like, I am up there too much. I'm going to prioritize and go, I'm going to stay home for, this week, and I'm just going to get the things done. And what I'd like to do too, when I was with my family and my kids, I tried to just be super present and just like
put the phone
away and like
emails
it
and
can
phone
wait.
calls can wait.
It can wait.
Yeah.
And then not take things too personally and just go, it's very personal because it's your baby and it's your brand, but just go, okay, that didn't work that way. I'm going to go a different route. Praying for the right partners to come around. Because like for years, it was like, we should franchise. Oh, we don't feel like we should. Yeah. But like, I guess we have to. It's like, I guess we have to. No, don't be afraid to go, that doesn't feel right. We spent probably $100,000.
Yeah.
Good research that we weren't ready.
Yeah.
So things of like balancing of like trying something out, prioritizing, going, it's now family time, trusting in your team, finding the people who care like you care. That's how you scale. That's how you can find the time for you so that you can have that balance. People too oftentimes try to do everything themselves because they don't trust. But you have to let people lead out. Because I can't do it all.
And sometimes they make mistakes, right?
No, they do. And then that's okay. That's how we learn. And sometimes you put someone in a role that maybe wasn't a good fit for them. And that's okay. That's how you learn.
But you can't let those make you paranoid to like stop trusting people or not, enabling people, right?
No. There was a lot of tired moments of like, I can see where we're going, but I just don't know quite how to get there.
Yeah.
Or we keep kind of, making a few mistakes here and there. Or I really just want someone with experience to come in and help us to know what to do. But I'm not just going to have people come in and just throw money at us and go, hey, I want to invest in Swig. I think I can help. I'm like, well, what can you do?
Yeah.
So it needed to be partners like Andrew and Shauna that really could add value to it. So there's a lot of moments between 2013 even and 17 before we met them of so much back and forth. We even opened one in Phoenix the summer that we met Andrew and Shauna. That's like a big jump.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of good though along the way because there was so much excitement about the brand.
Yeah.
But you also have to ground yourself and go, that's all exciting and everybody's telling me they need a Swig here and a Swig here and a Swig here.
Yeah.
But
tempting to open all the stores all at once.
Right.
Or like you said, tempting to go into the franchise model.
Right.
But if you don't feel like you've got it all dialed in, that could be really risky.
Yeah. So it's just grounding yourself on what built you and go back to your basics, go back to your core, go back to your foundation of your family and spend time there. Because if you're balanced and good with yourself, I mean, I still was I ran a marathon during that, and I still was able to have a balance, and you need it.
Yeah.
You have to have a balance where you have your time, you have your family time, you have your work time.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's a little bit extra work, and that then you just go, okay, we got to like balance it out, because you can't be all work, because it won't work.
You'll burn out.
You'll burn out.
Yeah.
So, and there's moments where it's like, and I'm burning out. So let's now
take a
little
step back.
Yeah.
And breathe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Grab a swig and chill.
Yeah, and the family is the most important part.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, like, make sure they're a priority, and then the other will work its way.
One thing I love about what you've said numerous times so far is it just didn't feel right, or that felt so right.
Yes.
And it's cool to me when entrepreneurs can find this balance of head and heart. And using numbers and data to inform decisions,
Right.
but not being completely driven only by data. It sounds like a lot of the stuff that drove you and a lot of the decisions that you made were about how you felt about something. You felt it was right, or you felt it wasn't right.
Yeah.
How do you talk to young upcoming entrepreneurs about that and learning how to trust their gut or trust their heart?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it goes back to remembering what built you. And if you can stay true to who you are as a person, which is your integrity and your hard work and your care, but what built your brand, everybody has a reason why they built something, why they started something. And if what you're doing is taking you away from that, then it's not going to work. But if you're staying true to that, you will be tuned in to what your business needs to do. For example, we opened up a store in a mall here in Utah Valley to try it out. People were like, please, let's have one here. Tried it out. It didn't work. We had to close it down even before the lease was up and paid on the lease because it just wasn't working. And that's like, that hurts but guess what? It's not a failure.
Yeah.
We learned from it. We learned how essential that drive-thru was.
Yeah.
So I think it's like, remember what built you. Have your moments where you can unplug. Like Sundays, it's like, whew, we don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
So have your moments
I mean,
where
I've heard the argument, especially as it relates to Swig, how much more revenue would one more day of being open, especially on weekends, like Sundays could be massive, right? Even though, I mean, in the Utah and maybe, certain Idaho like markets, there's the religious aspect of like, hey, we try not to, shop on Sundays or whatever. But still, especially as you expand, there's this huge thing about like, is it the best thing to be closed one of those 7 days? And what I hear you saying is that's part of the sharpening the saw, the mental reset, the break of there's that balance over time that makes it more sustainable than just go nonstop, like shutting down.
It does. And we want our managers to have those resets. We want them to take the time off. Now, out of market of Utah, we are open on Sunday because we needed that push of like,
so how do you balance
that
with the managers?
So
then?
they put their assistant manager, they use them more and they make sure that they do have their days to unplug because the managers need it.
Right.
The regional managers need it.
So you're super focused on like, hey, we don't want any employees like feeling like they have to work around the clock like 24/7 or whatever. They need the breaks. They need the
breaks, but they also know they could text me at any time and I'd answer for you because when you're owning a restaurant, it's kind of like a dairy farm. I grew up on a dairy farm. Those cows need milked morning and night. And like you feel like you don't have time off. But the restaurant is similar to that, the restaurant world. You are on
24/7.
a lot 24/7. So that's where it gets hard is you're like, okay, so I need my time off. But so this is what I tell our GMs. I'm like, right away when you get into a store, find your replacement. And they go, why am I finding my replacement? Like I'm going to be replaced? Yeah. But no, because then you can unplug and you can take a break knowing that you've trained them, you've taught them all they need to know. They're going to take care of that team and that store and those customers just like you do. And that's how we've scaled as well is find the people that care so that you can have your time, so that you can be close to your intuition and go, what should we do now? What feels right?
Yeah.
But if you are just guns a-blazing and you're tired and your brain's not working right, you're not going to make the best decisions.
Yeah.
So,
and you're not going to deliver that customer experience.
No.
It's hard to put on a smiling face and be genuine if you're just exhausted and worn out.
Right.
Yeah.
But yet they all know that if it is important, they can call any of us and we're there for them. So we know when it's important in emergency.
All right. So did you hit 17 stores before the Smiths got involved?
We were right at 17.
Okay, 17. So they came in, but we're still not. They're like, no, franchise is not the thing.
Right.
Let us come in as partners, help you kind of perfect the model. So take us from there to like, how long did you work with them to kind of perfect the back office and the model before you finally said, okay, franchise time, here we go?
Well, and there's a little bit before that too. So we rebranded during that time. So we finalized in December of 2017.
Because it was Swig and Sweets?
It was Swig and Sweets, and then it was brightly colored buildings and the Swig guy.
Yeah.
That all changed. And that was hard for me at first. So that was one of those moments as like, you're kind of changing my baby, right? Like, and I wanted to make sure our customers were still going to feel like it was their Swig.
Yeah.
I want our customers to feel almost bought in to their Swig, like because they're coming on a regular basis. I want you to feel like you almost own stock in there, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't want to change that to where they didn't feel like it was the same. But we knew we needed to kind of give it a fresh, clean look as we were going to hit the gas and expand. Again, we were thinking forward. So we cleaned up the brand. I love it. But at first I was like so nervous about it. But I trusted in my partners and like, okay, let's do this. And I didn't get in my way. A lot of founders and business owners think it's their way or the highway, or they like the control. And so they never change. They never try new things, and they can get in their own way of growth. And then you can't succeed like you really want to. So get out of your way. And trust in your partners, and best idea wins at the table. Yeah. So we rebranded and cleaned up the look of our stores, and opened the first store together.
Which location?
The Dino store in St. George. So it's in the Smith's parking lot. It's still our number one location, like top 3. It crushes it.
Nice.
So we opened that store together with the new look, the new branding.
And was that a brand new build?
Brand new build.
Okay. So in the corner of the parking lot.
It was an end cap.
Okay.
Yep. So it was connected with something else, 2 other things. But so that was pretty fun to open up a store together with them. And then we hit the gas. So that was 2019, January 2019. So it was about a year of refining, rebranding, and then we hit the gas.
Okay.
But then a year later, COVID hit.
Yeah. So this was a big question I wanted to ask you. So I'm glad we naturally kind of flowed right into that.
Yeah.
What did COVID do? Did it slow it down or speed it up?
We were essential because we had a drive-through.
Yeah, because I'm thinking I think we probably did more Swig during COVID.
We were blessed not only to we thrived.
Yeah.
We thrived.
The unique, especially in the restaurant world, that was just getting hammered.
Yeah, we weren't just surviving like poor other restaurants. It
almost helped out.
It did, because here's what happens. So many things were closed. So people who had never tried us were like, let's go to Swig.
Nothing else.
We never, it really was.
Can't really walk into the gas station. So
no, seriously, we became essential, and so we were gangbusters, and so it was all hands on deck. And the good thing is there was no school, so kids could work. It was open availability; they could work all day, not all day, but they could work during the day.
Did you ever feel guilty about that?
What?
Like that you were crushing it while restaurant friends were
100%, because I knew what goes into opening your own business and your own restaurant, and it was breaking my heart that they were having to close their doors, like so hard. Yeah, and it was happening all over. Yeah. So we were one of the very blessed, lucky ones. And so we really tried to just be the best part of people's day, which again is what we started with. Yeah. But then we really were. And that person-to-person connection when people were isolated. Yeah. Moms were now stay-at-home teachers, and healthcare workers were working nonstop around the clock. So we became really their out. Yeah. And people really were like, oh, let's go try that Swig. We never tried it. So yeah, we went like this. Wow. So we were so blessed. And because of that, we started doing our Give Back series in the fall of 2020. And we did our Save the Cups fundraiser. Yeah. And then talk about that. So we wanted to give back because we knew people had had a really tough year. And so we wanted to give some light. And so I'm a breast cancer survivor.
Oh, congratulations.
And thank you. It was before I started Swig. The year before, I think the breast cancer gave me renewed life of go out there and live your dreams because life is short. So make it a good one.
Okay. So you're like, maybe in a weird way, that was like a spark that ignited a lot of this thing. Was like, hey, life is short.
Yep.
I'm going to stop thinking about doing stuff. I'm going to do
Don't overthink it. Just do it. Doesn't have to be perfect.
That's
Just
so
do
cool.
it. Yeah. It's worth it.
Okay. So then save the cups.
So save the cups.
Which I love the double meaning on that. It's so good.
I know. We sell drinks
So
and
good.
cups. We're saving cups, trying to. So back then, in between jobs, my bills were paid for by a generous donor. Didn't know who it was. It was through Dixie Regional Medical Center. So, but then flash forward.
You still don't know to this day.
No.
No way.
No. Yeah.
Have you like tried to hunt them down?
No, I mean,
somehow,
it was through the hospital. I probably should.
Yeah.
I probably should. But no, it was, so then started the business and then you heard the story. I mean, it was just grinding it out of like, oh yeah, I had cancer and whatever.
Almost forgot about that.
Yeah, honestly. I mean, I was getting my mammograms quite frequently, but we were grinding it out, starting our own business. And so anyway, so my partner came to me in the end of the summer of 2020 and said, okay, we want to get back. And I said, yes, we do. And he's like, Nicole, tell me about your cancer journey again. Weren't your bills paid for? And I was like, oh yeah, they were.
Oh my
and
God.
so he's like, let's give back in that way. And I was like, I can't believe we're just doing this for the first time.
Why didn't we think about this earlier?
Yeah, but honestly, all things happen for a reason and in the best timing. So it was just the perfect time to now give back. And so now what we do with Save the Cups is we raise money for women fighting breast cancer. And we go in and lift that medical debt weight off their shoulders because when you're fighting breast cancer, you aren't worried about the medical bills that are piling up. You're worried about saving your life. You're throwing up. You're losing your hair. You're losing your fingernails. You're thinking, am I a burden to my family? I mean, there's so much that goes into it.
Did you start is it your own nonprofit then? Is the company's nonprofit? So how did you do that? Did the Smiths kind of know or like how did you?
No, it was kind of at first of just like,
how do you start a nonprofit?
Let's see it. Yeah. And let's just see if our customers will latch onto this.
Okay.
So like, don't like go big yet because you just don't know. So it's like, here's this
Did
nonprofit.
you test it in like 1 or 2 local stores? Or
no, we just were like, let's see if people will jump on
so
this.
put the message
so we
everywhere.
launched it out, and I shared my story. And the first year we raised $125,000.
So cool.
In 1 month, actually, 1 month.
Now here's the tough question.
Yeah.
How do you pick who to help?
It's hard. It's really hard, and that's a lot on me. So, because I want to protect
I'm sure
it.
the list is so long.
You know, honestly, I want it to be longer. So it's not. I think a lot of people are, people's cancer journey, they tend to keep it a little bit close to themselves. And a lot of people don't know of like people's financial situation in their cancer journey. So it's by nomination. The first year we worked with a doctor's office that helped women with this, surgeries and stuff with breast cancer. And it was great. But then we were like, we need more authentic, recipients. Yeah. So the next year we opened it up to the public.
So
and that's what we've done.
Nominate a friend or family member.
Yeah. And so, I mean, so we have quite a few, but I would love to have a big pool.
Okay, so here it is right now.
Yeah.
Everyone listening to the podcast.
Yes.
Where do they go to nominate someone? How do they participate?
Yeah, and so we're going to start it again in October.
Okay.
We're going to hit it big. So 2 dates. So this is our 4th year doing it. And really, it's only our 4th month.
This will be perfect because I think the timing of we're recording this end of August.
Yeah.
It'll actually launch. So by the time people hear this, it'll be like early October.
Okay.
So the timing's perfect.
Perfect. Okay. And so we have raised in just 3 months' time over $500,000.
Okay.
That then we've helped over 25 women pay for the medical bills. So I show up with a big fat Publishers Clearinghouse style check.
Like a huge check.
Like $20,000.
I've always wanted to like give one of those or maybe get one of those. That's
so to have a business, and now you've heard all the backstory of it, then to have it be full circle to where I get to do this, but it's not me, it's our customers.
Is it pretty emotional?
Oh, watch some of the videos. Yeah. It literally is like, it's so surreal and amazing for me to give back in the same way I was given. It's literally one of the most special things for me to almost where I'm like, was Swig made for Save the Cups? Like the why behind it. I'm like, who cares? It all works together.
Yeah.
But so that's what we get to do. So this year,
where do they go?
They go to Save the Cups. You can go to our website. Just go to Swig.
SaveTheCups.org. Okay. SaveTheCups.org.
And we're rebuilding it right now, but by the time they hear this,
October, it'll be ready.
It'll be ready. So you can go to our website, so swigdrinks.com or SaveTheCups.org.
Okay.
We have T-shirts. We have hoodies. We have tumblers. If you go to any Swig during that month, you buy my drink, which is the Founder. Diet Coke,
That's
all the good stuff, coconut cream, sugar-free coconut, fresh lime, or a water-based drink. We donate $1 to Save the Cups for anybody who buys that drink in the month of October.
Okay.
Or you can just donate money.
Yeah.
That's how we do it. That's how we earn the money for it.
I might have to get myself a pink hoodie.
You need a pink hoodie. You need a pink tumbler.
Yeah.
Like they're going to be Barbie pink this year. Like so cute. So we're hoping our goal is to raise $250,000 this month.
All right.
I think we'll do it.
And how many total stores are we at now?
54.
54. So 50,000 a store.
We're going to do it.
5,000 a store, right?
We're going to do it.
Am I doing the math right on that? Okay.
We're going to do it.
Okay.
Yeah. We want to hit it big. We're going to have a mobile mammogram truck because a lot of it is bringing awareness to women. Go out and get your mammograms. Utah's one of the lowest in getting those mammograms.
Really?
And yeah. So we need to do better. But as we branch out into Texas and Oklahoma, we have 7 stores in Texas. We have 5 stores in Oklahoma. We have 5 stores in Phoenix. So we want to help women all over the nation, all over the world eventually to talk about early prevention. I was 37 when I had my breast cancer, and I had no signs. I was prompted by a friend to go get a mammogram, questioned by every doctor.
Okay, so it wasn't symptoms driven. It was just like some people in your...
I felt like I should.
And they prompted, or they like encouraged you to do it, so you went and
every doctor questioned why.
It was good enough that you caught it early enough.
It was a rare aggressive cancer. My surgeon said, Nicole, your friend saved your life. If you would have waited till you were 40, you would not be here.
40?
Yeah. 3 years later.
But cancer doesn't even cross your mind when you're that age.
But it's happening earlier and earlier. I surprised one woman, 29 years old, at her bridal shower. She'd gone through breast cancer.
Wow.
I showed up with a $20,000 check.
Oh, at her shower? That's so cool. Do you have video of that?
Oh, yeah. It's on the video.
Okay.
Yeah. So look up SaveTheCups.org. All the videos are on there. They're tearjerkers. It gives us such real meaning and purpose, but then just to be a part of the day. So I will take orders out in the line when I go to stores a lot of times. And during those few months, especially, I want to be very present. And I've had women crying in the drive-thru line saying, I am going through chemo right now. Thank you for what you're doing for women. So it's very full circle, very cool. Very special.
So fulfilling.
Yeah,
that's amazing. Okay, so here we are. Almost 14 years into the journey. Yeah. 13 and a half.
Yep.
Exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
And at what point then did we say, okay, it's time to franchise?
Yeah. So good question. So
this is recent, right?
It's recent.
We just hit
January.
the 6-month mark.
Yeah, just January.
Okay.
So before that, I'm going to go back just a little bit.
Okay.
So we were at a tipping point with the business and with Savory too. So Savory's goal is to help you grow from a small business to a large business, and then bring on some large investors,
like big private equity groups and stuff. Okay.
That then take you to the next level.
Yeah.
Like that's just how it organically, naturally happens. So we were at that tipping point at about 40 plus locations. We're like, okay, let's see if someone is interested and sees the value.
Question. You don't have to answer it.
Swig. Yeah.
You don't have to answer it.
Okay.
On average, in a year, how much does a single location generate in revenue?
Yeah.
You don't have to answer it if that's like super private.
No, you could probably look it up.
Okay.
Our AUVs, which is your sales, we averaged close to $1 million.
Close to $1 million per store. So
yeah,
now
that's
we're
an
at
average.
Like
some are more,
almost 50
some are less.
Stores. So 50 million-ish in annual revenue, or close to 50 million. I'm sure some are over that and some are under that. And they're like, okay, now it's time to bring the big boys.
Yeah, it's like, okay, we know what we've got now. We've done all the hard work to refine it, to get it to where it needs to be. We've proven it outside of the market, which is in Texas and Oklahoma. A lot of people are like, it's a Utah thing. It's not going to go past it. I've
heard
literally
that.
New
I've
York
heard people say
Times,
that.
all of it.
Starbucks is good for everywhere else. Soda's just a Utah thing.
Yeah. In fact, I've done several articles like the Today Show, the dirty soda.
Yeah.
So let's go back really quick. We protected dirty soda because we knew where we were going. Olivia Rodrigo in 2020, she likes Swig. She filmed some things here. She's a pop star. If you don't know who she is.
I don't, but
so she's a pop star that's like super huge.
Okay.
She went somewhere Swigs. Dirty soda. That's what she said. I'm going to get my dirty soda.
Well, she said that in lyrics.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. Not in her song, but in her post.
Okay.
And took pictures with our team. Dirty soda went viral on TikTok and on Instagram. We got phone calls from the Today Show. They called me on my cell phone May of 21 and said, we've heard about this Swig thing. Maybe it's May of 22. Dirty soda. We've heard about dirty soda, and we heard it came from Swig.
Yeah.
It was a producer from the Today Show.
No way.
And
they're back in New York, people drink soda?
Yes.
Isn't soda for kids or something? Right?
But they had us on the Today Show making their own dirty soda, and Al Roker is drinking a dirty soda.
No way. Okay, I got to look up that clip.
With
I haven't
the
seen
Swig
it.
logo in the back.
Nice.
And so people came to us when the dirty soda went viral.
Is that clip on the website?
Yeah.
Or do I, okay.
You could probably look it up too.
Okay.
I don't know if it's on the website, but we need to have more of that on the website. But so people then came looking to Swig when that went viral because we protected dirty soda. So sorry, I wanted to touch on that because
no, that's an important point. But coming back to full circles, years later after you trademark this thing, the value of that keeps manifesting itself. Right?
Yes, again, because we knew it was special and we just could feel it. Yeah. So then protect it. So, and thank goodness we did, because then everybody came looking for us. And that brought more increased awareness of, wow, Swig is the serious brand. And so we proved ourselves out of market. So our Texas stores are some of the top stores. And Oklahoma as well. So people, listen, Coke and Pepsi are billion-dollar companies for a reason, not because of Utah. Yeah. We're 30th
and
down the list.
And not just because of kids.
And not because of... No. So I knew that. Yeah. But people like to always kind of give you a bad, and I would say that's part of the journey with Swig too, is people just thinking that we're a flash in the pan or we're just
Mormon
a Utah
Starbucks.
thing. Yeah. And I've heard that a lot. They're like, could you have started it anywhere else? I'm like, I started it because I lived in St. George. Yeah. And yes, probably because Sonic exists everywhere. Yeah. And Coke and Pepsi are billion-dollar companies for a reason. So I knew that, but I knew it was because of how they would feel coming through a drive-through. And it's happening. And it is. And now people are franchising. But now let's go back. So we were 40-ish. We're who wants to come in and be our partner and take us to the next level? And who sees that value of we get it. You caught lightning in a bottle. We're going to pay you for what that's worth. Right? Because we had people we had investors that came in and they just didn't quite get it. They were from New York and San Francisco and Chicago. We're but and it was lower than what we knew we were worth. Yeah. And so we're no, we're going to wait for that special partner who gets us, who is aligned with us, and who has the same core values. So our employees are not employees. They are team members. They are part of the team. We get there together. And it's the culture in Swig to where when you come through that line, you feel special because our team members who want them to feel a part of something special. Part of what I do now is I go around to all the stores as best I can. And I want them to get excited about their job and that they feel valued and heard and seen.
Do team members have equity? Do they get ownership?
I would love that, but eventually that will happen soon.
So you haven't done that yet?
No.
Okay, so how do you instill that ownership mentality? How do you do that?
Yeah, so it's just you are part of something special. We need you. We give bonuses. They have a Swiggy bank, our general managers.
I like that.
And it's basically you get bonus, and if you get bonus, then we put some in here too for you as well.
Okay, my wife, she doesn't listen to all my podcasts. Yeah. It breaks my heart. But hopefully, I'm going to make her listen to this one. I think she's going to listen to one because she's a huge fan.
Because she loves Swig,
Yes. And she loves you. She loves this whole story. Aww. But I need a Swiggy bank.
Yeah.
And every time I do a good, I do my chores.
There you go. That's right. That's right.
Puts money in my Swiggy bank so I can get some.
That's amazing. I love it. I love it. Yeah, I just want them to
feel
like.
So Swiggy bank for managers to reward employees
above.
or team members for great performance.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just making them feel super special, that they mean something to us. So summer of last year of 22, Larry H. Miller came to the table. And they're Utah, brand, a very amazing Utah brand that a lot of people know about.
Yeah.
And they are customers, and they see the vision of where Swig is going. Again, we haven't even turned on franchising, but the buzz is huge. Yeah. And so at that point, we hadn't turned it on.
Well, I want to tied into this.
Yeah.
Was the Delta Center, or at the time, the Vivint Arena, the first place that wasn't a drive-in that actually started to succeed? Because when I saw the Swig in the arena, I was like, okay, here we go. So was that kind of the first foray into non-drive-through kind of
Yeah, we were in there from, what was it, 2015 to 18 or something.
Okay.
Yeah, it was mainly a marketing play for us.
Okay.
Yeah, not revenue, just marketing, because you need the volume.
Okay.
You need day in, day out drive-through volume.
Okay, so it wasn't like a profitable thing.
It was just good marketing.
Exposure and marketing.
Of hey, what's the Swig brand? Okay, now let's go to one of their locations.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think that was a good move for us. We were in Lagoon for a while as well.
Oh, no way. Okay.
Just good marketing. Here's Swig. Now go try it in one of our spots.
Yeah.
So, they came to the table and were very interested. They liked who we were as a brand that gives back, because they like to do that as well.
Yeah.
And very philanthropic, the big word, with Gail Miller and all that she does. And very family focused, very culture driven. They are all about their team.
Yeah.
And it was the perfect fit. They could see the value. They could see the lightning in the bottle. And we're like, okay, you get it. Let's do this. And that landed December of last year.
Nice.
So it's been 9 months
I saw the news about, it was really kind of a big deal.
It was such a big deal for us.
So here's my question, though.
Yeah.
Insider note.
Yeah.
How much ownership did you give up? And do you still have ownership?
Yes.
So you stayed in through all these partnerships.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. And here's the thing too, that a lot of founders can get in their own way too, is they want that whole pie still.
Yeah.
Right? They want all the ownership.
Yeah.
But as you bring in experience and partners,
surround yourself
you have
with
to
the talented,
give them some up so that they have skin in the game.
Yeah.
So it's just been slowly, definitely taking some of the pie, but hopefully you have a smaller piece of the pie, but it's hopefully worth a
way
lot
bigger
more.
Pie.
Yeah. So don't hold on to that equity thinking, no. And I get why you do, because when you have that blood, sweat, tears, when you have gone through the fire, you want to hold on to it as best you can, because you've worked hard for that. Yeah. You're holding on for that end game, right? All the founders do. They're holding on to that end game of eventually there'll be a payout. Right. You have to pick the right partners. You don't just need money thrown at you. You need somebody who's going to buy into you, buy into your brand, and believe it. And
believes in the why.
That was our first partners with Jason Lindsay, and then it was Savory, and then it was LHM. And each partner was very prayerful, very intentional of do you get this brand?
Yeah.
Are you going to be right alongside us as we go through this finish line each time? So Larry H. Miller is majority now. That's just kind of what they do at this stage of the game, and that's great.
Yeah.
And that's how you're able to take some chips off the table, right? So we're like, okay, so that was worth it, but you still have skin in the game. I'm still in it, and I want to take it to the next level. So then franchising.
Okay.
So now with the power of LHM, we're able to turn on franchising. So we've refined in the last 2 to 3 years preparing for that.
With help of the Smiths and the Savory Fund.
Yep.
But you didn't do the franchise model until the LHM group.
We were considering it. It was on the table. We knew that it needed to happen in the future at some point. So
they have the capital to kind of like make sure that launches correctly and not haphazardly.
Yes, for sure. And so, with their help and their expertise and power and who they know and all of that, we are now turning on franchising. And so we turned on franchising January of this year.
Okay.
And we're
like 8 months in, but at the 6-month mark, you had sold 250
locations.
Yeah. That's so amazing.
Isn't that crazy?
It's got to be. I think the article said something about like that's the fastest franchise kind of growth or sales.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what they were comparing it to. Like, I don't know if that's ever, but like that's crazy fast.
It's up there.
Yeah.
It's up there. And then we're expected, and then we're still growing corporately. So we want to establish that really strong foundation. So we have 10 more stores by the end of this year, corporate. Next year, we're doing 30 stores corporate, plus franchising stores opening, plus more franchisees in the background that are signing. So we're hoping to get that number closer to 500 within the next year.
Yeah.
So franchisees.
Wow.
And then corporate stores.
Yeah, what does that equate to?
Yeah, so 40 by the end of next year, corporate stores. So we'll be at over 100 stores.
Nice.
By next year, end of next year.
Everywhere.
So I've always thought every community deserves to have a Swig. Like, they deserve it. Yeah. They need it. They now are seeing it. Like, we have an amazing marketing team. Go on our social media, and it's incredible. But people all over, like, please put a Swig here. Georgia, Tennessee, like wherever. Yeah. Every community deserves to have a Swig. We want to be the best part of that community. We want to have the best drink for you and the best experience, but we also want to give back. We want to be the best part of that community to where people are like, yeah, we need a Swig here and a Swig there. We're way more than a drink.
Yeah.
Way more than a drink.
That's so cool. Through all of this, what was your support group? What did that look like? Like, who did you lean on? Who did you get support from as part of this? I mean, the entrepreneurship journey and being a mom with 5 kids, like, you had so many things going on. Like, how did you get through all that? And who were your supporters? Like, who are the silent supporters that we need to give a shout out and recognize? Yeah. And you know, as you talk to like up and coming founders, like what kind of advice do you give them about like their support group or who you surround yourself with? It's
huge. So my biggest supporter is God. Like that is where I go to first. I have everything I have because of him. Wow. I don't have a business without him. So every decision is run through him. So that's huge. That's the number one. Yeah. And grateful every day for what he's giving me and this amazing business that can do what it's doing. So that's number one. Number two is your family and friends. Like I just went to a 50th. I'm that old. I'm 52, but a friend of ours.
I'm 52 too.
Oh, nice. Yeah. It's great. It's like the new 42.
It is. It totally is.
Yeah. Yeah. So a friend of mine, he just turned 50. I went to a birthday party of his, and they were talking about the Swig journey, and they just said, we remember like coming up with drinks with you and like encouraging you to, that sounds great and whatever. So friends that are in your corner that are rallying with you and encouraging you through the hard of like, just through some of these hard decisions of like, hey, how's it going? And, just advice along the way. Yeah. One of our good friends, he set up all of our cash registers. He was an accountant and he'd opened other businesses, and he was like, you're charging. Help. Yeah. And he was like, dollar drinks, because we did dollar drinks for the first 2 months just to get people in. He's like, you can't do that. Like, he was running the numbers. He's like, there's no way.
It'll be like $3
But he's
more.
like, okay, yeah, that's fine. Okay, do it. And so just things like that, like surround yourself with good people, friends and family. And then third would be your partners. So be super selective about who you want to partner with.
And it sounds like in retrospect, you've been so smart about the partners that you've picked at each stage.
Yes.
Because they've all been phenomenal partners, it sounds like.
100%. There's been other people that have wanted to come in along the way, but it's always done in prayer of like who is going to be that next strategic partner that's going to care like we care. And so God, family and friends in your corner, and then your partners are the only way, team members. I mean, good heavens, the team members are the ones on the front lines.
Yeah.
Like they're the ones, making the drinks and, helping us create, new drinks and, facing the customers all the time. So you get there together, but to get through the hard, it's a team.
Yeah.
It's a team.
You're doing something right, especially with the team members, because I keep thinking businesses built largely around teenage-aged employees. I mean, it's hard to instill the vision, the passion, the excitement, the commitment at that age, right?
Yeah.
But they buy into it.
Yes.
And I personally, not to say that there's never been a bad experience, but I personally have never, honestly, in all the visits, and it's hundreds of visits to Swig, have never had a grouchy, mean, frustrated, whatever. The team members have always been really great. And that's, to me, that kind of blows my mind, especially now that I think about it, because you'd think in just the sheer numbers of interactions I've had, and they're teenagers. I mean, they have lots of crap going on in their lives. They're trying to figure out who they are. That's a tough age.
Yes.
And yet you've built this really, really successful model, especially around the why of creating a phenomenal user experience using that mostly teenager kind of team member base, and that's super cool.
Yeah, I think we show them there's opportunity here. We have a program called the Leadership and Training Program, and so it's if you want to become a manager or an assistant manager or whatever it is. We had an 18-year-old boy graduate from high school who is running his own store in Layton, and he was doing such a phenomenal job. He's still in high school. The minute he graduated, we said, do you want to move out to Texas? You have such amazing care and culture. He opened a store for us in Texas. He's 18.
Wow.
He opened that store, then he opened another store in the Dallas area, and then he crushed both of those.
Oh my
We're
gosh.
like, do you want to go open a store in Houston 3 hours away?
Yeah.
He's in Houston. He's opened that store and
No
crushing
way.
it. So it's just letting them know that they're amazing, teaching them leadership skills of, managing their peers.
Yeah.
And that's hard.
Yeah.
Really hard. But we're teaching them skills to do that. And we hope that even if they don't stay with Swig, that they've learned some things along the way.
And help them in
We've given them opportunities to know that they can go out and do these amazing things like run, $8 million store and crush it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot that goes into that.
Yeah.
But most of our managers are between the ages of 18 and 24.
Wow.
The majority.
That's so cool.
So it's just instilling in them the confidence of you can do it. We'll teach you the skill sets. And it's mainly just people skills is what we got to teach them. But it's pretty incredible that
that's really cool.
Yeah. So we do it with them 100%. That's how we get there.
So my last question is there's two parts to this question, so maybe it's a cheat, but what does a day in the life look like now for you, and where do you go from here? Both kind of you personally and where does Swig go? I mean, I know it's total world domination expansion.
Right.
Are there any international locations yet?
No, but we've got some,
in mind?
There's some.
Okay.
Well, there's two at our door.
Okay.
That are wanting it badly.
Okay.
So I won't tell you yet until it's done.
Okay. We'll wait for that. We'll have you back after you've expanded internationally.
Listen,
So
we've had franchise requests for Dubai, for
my gosh.
literally.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I really do believe that it will go everywhere, which is crazy to think, especially when you go back to day one.
Yeah.
Crazy, but I just know it's that special because we're more than a drink.
Yeah.
So a day in the life of Nicole, of me, not that I'm that special, but a day in the life for me.
Are all the kids out of the house now?
Yeah, my youngest is on a mission.
Okay.
Yeah, 19.
Yeah, so
that
you got
guy on
lots
the
of
soda
time.
bibs, he's now 6'3", and he's out on a mission in Texas.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah. So it is started with prayer, as always, and go to the gym if I'm home. If I'm up here working or in a store getting ready to open it, I usually I know I'm going to get my steps in because I'll be in the store running.
Standing up all day.
On those free days where we serve literally over 1,000 cars a day on the free days.
Wow.
So I know I'll get my steps
lots
in.
of work. Okay.
So it's trying to get, a workout in, and then it's, some office stuff, emails, phone calls, meetings. And then I love to be in the stores. That is where the magic is.
Okay.
That's where we really know how we're doing.
So you're just bouncing around the whole country, like visiting all these stores? Or?
I mean, I wish. I have before gone. Like I was just in Dallas actually last week. We had some franchisees touring with us. We took them around to some of the Dallas stores. Some are signed and some are wanting to sign. So we were showing them the stores, and so we went and showed them 4 stores, and then my partner and I went and saw the 2 other stores. So just show them that we care. Hey, we're in town. We're stopping by to see you. How are you doing? How can we help? Whatever that is. So put me in a store. That's where I love to be. Don't put me in an office. I want to be where the magic is. Yeah. I want to work with our team. I want to be making drinks with you. I want to be talking with you. I want to look for talent of like, oh, that person's leading out. They care. Hey, do you want to go open a store in Kansas or wherever? Yeah. Because you can usually spot it pretty quick. Yeah. And then I want to see our customers because they are why we have a business. So I want to be out taking orders with them. But I also want to know kind of what can we be fixing? What can we be refining along the way? And you don't know that unless you're in the stores on the front lines. I want them to know that I'm not going to ask you to do anything that I won't do. That's so cool. So once I'm done kind of with like meetings or whatever, I go to a store. Yeah. Like before I came here, I went to Saratoga. No way. Yeah. Okay. And was making drinks for a good 45 minutes. Do people recognize you? I'm on a training video now. Okay. So a lot of them do. Yeah. And they're looking like, oh my gosh, it's Nicole. She's in here. And I'm like, they get nervous. It's fine. Yeah. Let's make some drinks together. Yeah. So. And what about the customers? Do customers recognize you? I don't. Like, some of them do. Nicole. Some of them do, I think. But I'm not that cool. I want to just be in the car with them. Let's go get a drink together. Yeah. And there is something about like it's kind of nice to be that successful and still sort of stay anonymous so that you can pop into the stores without it being like a thing. Right. And that, paparazzi's not following you around all over the place. I know it's probably going to get a little harder for that because I do anything PR related. Yeah. Which is great because I want people to know that, it is female founded. Yeah. 85% of our leadership are female, not intentionally. It just has organically happened. And that's pretty cool. That's why partnering with Larry H. Miller, because it's, run by Gail Miller, like that fit with them as well. And it fit with who we were. Yeah. So I really want to empower women out there to know that you can do the hard things. Never did I envision, owning my own soda shop and then taking it, nationally, which is where we're headed as we speak. Yeah. And then hopefully internationally. Never. But it was one drink at a time, one customer at a time. And always focused on your why. Always focus on your why and what built you. Yeah. And women can do that and men. But I love to empower women to know you can do those amazing things. That's so cool. Yeah. Nicole, you're amazing. This has been so fun. Thank you. This is going to be the episode that my wife actually listens to. So I'm excited about that. She has a reason. That's awesome. This is cool. And it will be so exciting to see because you're right at this level of like this explosive expansion and growth. Sounds like you have amazing partners and this will just be really cool to kind of see what the phase, I don't know if this is 2 or 3 or whatever, but this next phase of growth. It kind of is. Business, it's kind of like phase 3. And as amazing as the last 13 years have been, the next 13 are going to blow our socks off. That's so cool. Yeah, because I think people will get Swigs where they need to be. Awesome. Where they deserve to be, like I said. All right. Yeah. Thank you for coming on. Yes, thank you for having me. It's been a privilege. Yeah, so fun.